Kingdom Hearts as a whole has some great boss fights. Kingdom Hearts 2 has a lot of boss fights. I mean, it's a pretty long game, so that makes sense, right? But pretty much every boss in this game is a well-made fight. But at the end of the day, only 5 can rank in the top 5 boss fights of Kingdom Hearts 2. Sephiroth. Starting with an optional boss. I mean, it makes sense, right? These optional fights are supposed to be the most difficult in the game, so having them also be the most epic would be a given. The only problem is that this is not an endgame super boss, so you can beat him around level 50 or 60 probably. No need to max out your level, and if you decide to beat him after Xemnas, hardly any grinding will be needed. Compared to its Kingdom Hearts 1 counterpart, this fight is not as interesting. So the reason it's on here is because of 2 reasons. Mainly because it's an optional boss with some story elements to it. While Bastion doesn't change back into Radiant Garden until you beat Sephiroth, and the subplot setting up the relation between Cloud and Sephiroth isn't resolved until you beat this guy either. Which also rewards you with the Fenrir, the strongest melee Keyblade in the game. It's strange, it feels like a story boss, but it's not. The second reason is an easier one. I like Sephiroth and his theme song. Even though Kingdom Hearts 1 may have given us the better fight, Kingdom Hearts 2 has given us something that feels more satisfying to play, which mirrors the games themselves pretty well. The Thousand Heartless. Do I even need to explain myself? You're fighting 1,000 Heartless. That's not just to say there's a lot of Heartless and you have to escape from them. No, you actually kill a full 1,000 Heartless in this battle. In the original promotional art and trailers for this game there were even a couple of behemoths added, but they were taken out. Presumably because the PlayStation 2 couldn't render them all at once. I mean, it can't even render the 1,000 Heartless as it is. I wouldn't expect it to, but the Heartless you're fighting can easily be displayed as a 2D image until they need to be loaded in. With something as big as Behemoth, that would be a little bit more difficult of course. My only hope is that in Kingdom Hearts 3 we can see a battle like this again, but with the much more powerful PlayStation 4, they could add some more interesting Heartless. Have a little bit more variety, because there's 1,000 of them and there's only 2 kinds, which gets kind of boring after a while. You're supposed to use the reaction command to destroy dozens at a time, and Donald and Goofy are taken away from you during this fight to prevent you from leveling your dry forms. But Limit Form, added in the final mix version of the game, you can still use, and every time I do this battle I end up grinding Limit Form, which is pretty easy here, since building up Drive outside of Limit Form and MP inside it is no problem since you're surrounded by Heartless to attack. Altogether it's just an epic fight. Not interesting in any other way, just epic. Marluxia. Where the 2 fights before this are mainly just epic and flashy, this fight is actually interesting for gameplay reasons. Don't get me wrong, this fight is still rather flashy, the whole game is, but this fight comes in 2 varieties. The Absent Silhouette, an optional boss during the main game, and then after you beat that you get to face the super boss version in the Data fight. The funny thing is, the Data fights are all more difficult than the original counterparts, but Marluxia, I mean yeah, it's more difficult but not that much. I hear you ask, why? Well, Marluxia's attacks don't deal damage. Instead of dealing damage, it lowers a counter he gives you at the start of the battle. A counter which has a maximum value equal to your level. I suppose now you can see that while fighting him the first time, you'd probably be around level 40 or so. But when fighting the Data organization, you'll probably be level 99, allowing you to get hit much more often. Of course his attack patterns do change and make him more aggressive, harder to counter and generally more of a pain to beat. But that just means you have to defend a little more. The strategy stays the same, it's just more tedious to execute. You keep blocking him until he uses the proper attack which allows you to do a reaction command. If you need to increase your counter, use the one that does that. If you don't need to increase it, use the one that deals a lot of damage to Marluxia. Instead of blocking, you can also use Reflect to get a little bit of more damage into him, or even get a combo or 2 in with your Keyblade. The biggest difference in the 2 battles is the amount of opportunities you get to attack. Technically more difficult, but messing up in the Data fight has less of a punishment since you have a lot more hits to work with right from the start. Terra. Say what you like, but to me, this still is the most difficult boss in Kingdom Hearts to this day. Some say it's no heart from Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. I would disagree. Terra's lingering will is a real pain to fight. If you think something like Marluxia gives you no chance to hit him, Terra takes that up to 11. It's very possible you'll be blocking him for well over a minute before he gives you any chance to attack him, at which point you'll do next to no damage because of a super armor, which will only be broken after you finish the first combo. Then the second combo can do some proper damage, but don't get carried away, because at the end of the third combo his revenge value will hit a point where he retaliates, and you'll get into a combo of his own. And you can be sure that if you don't have second chance and once more, that'll be the end of you. Of course, fighting this boss under level 99 is not advisable, and to be honest, I prefer to fight him only after I've had a good amount of chance to grind for power, magic and defense boost against the organization member Datas. He also has an attack which is near impossible to block and you just better run from, switching to reflect at the proper moment to make sure you're safe. Then he has his binding attack, which will damage you until you break out of it, but misclicking will deal extra damage to you, the attack that blocks you from using either magic or melee attacks until you break the seal by attacking Terra. And well, it's all just a pain to finish. And you get nothing useful other than a crown on Sora's head for beating him. Not that you could get anything useful, since after beating him you've probably already done everything in the game and he's just the most difficult obstacle you'll face. Groundshaker. While boss fights like Terra and Apiklucia are good because they are well thought out, unique or just simply a real challenge, the Groundshaker is more of a thing like a Thousand Heartless to me. It's impressive this beast was rendered in this arena, which is the biggest place in the whole game, and ran smoothly on PlayStation 2. The Groundshaker is a huge Heartless and is really 2 fights in one. There's a ground portion of the fight, and there's getting onto his back to fight the Shaman that's the real brains of the Heartless. Of course it's very much possible to just keep hitting him in the head when he slams down to the ground and finish him that way, but it's much more fun to use the reaction commands to jump onto his back, Shadows of the Colossus style, and start beating up the Heartless there. Until he decides it's time to throw you off and you go back to hitting him in the face until you get an opportunity to get back on his back again. It might be a little anticlimactic to say, but yeah, I like this best mostly because it's big, and while it might not be quite the same as Shadow of the Colossus, I mean, of course it's not. Kingdom Hearts is a way different game, but seeing something like this in Kingdom Hearts and then seeing the footage from the Rock Titan fight in Kingdom Hearts 3 fills me with a lot of hope. Big boss fights are almost always interesting. Even in the first game against Cerberus and Behemoth, getting onto their backs to damage them more easily and be somewhat safe from their attacks always felt good, and the Groundshaker just expands on that idea. Now I only hope that in Kingdom Hearts 3 they expand on that even more. Who knows, we might even fight a whole Heartless world if we're lucky. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching this top 5 list. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like below this video. And while you're down there, let me know your favorite boss fight in this game with a comment. And click the subscribe button to keep up to date with all my new uploads. And hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified. Until the next time, bye.